What's up guys, Bonnie here with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're talking about the Dragon, more specifically Dragon 25, my new speed run record on my account without legendary. So we're going to go over that actual run, but also more like a typical run or what you need to do to reach that kind of time. And obviously we'll go over the champions, more specifically the gear and the masteries. So all that said, let's get right to it. Before we get to all that, let me first remind you guys that I stream on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday nights at 7:30 Eastern Time on Twitch. This is where we do all of the giveaways, whether it be the gems, the Epic Tome, the Void Shard, or the account giveaways, and this is what we have lined up for today. Okay, so we're going to have this account right here being given away to anybody. It is free to participate. All you need to do is to show up, spend a little bit of time with us. You're going to get enough loyalty points to convert them into tickets, and this might be yours, all right? So if you want to get a head start basically in raid, this is a great option for you. There's an Cret, there's already the missions completed all the way up to Arbiter. You have a few more legendaries, you have 2 cold hearts, so there certainly is something to do with this account. So again, 7:30 Eastern Time tonight. Second thing I want to point out is, why am I doing a Dragon 25 when I clearly said before that farming Dragon 24 or all the level 24 dungeons is technically better? For the simple reason that when we have the clan versus clan tournaments, it is better to do stage 25. Therefore, I am now going to commit to a level 25 team and a level 20 team. So if I'm really on a budget and I want the best value out of my energy spent, I will do stage 20s. This is especially good when you're doing fusions like right now. But if you have a lot of extra energy and you don't mind, then go for stage 25 because it's technically the best gear for terms of points returned when you're doing clan versus clan. All right, so because we only have 10 slots in the saved teams, I decided to drop the 24 entirely for the time being. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to ever do it again, but for the time being, I'm focusing on 25s and 20s. So now let's go over the run of my Dragon 25 in 60 seconds. Obviously, this is not always a 1-minute run, guys, so I tweaked for this. I literally had to remove some gear off of these champions to get this to work. So I'm gonna say on average, maybe closer to 1 minute 20 seconds, maybe even 1 minute and 30 seconds if we're not FPS unlocked. All right, but when everything does line up and you get a few lucky procs on certain things, it is going to have this really fast run. So let's let it play out. Previous record was 1 minute and 8 seconds, then 1 minute 4 seconds, and finally this run right here. AoE decreased defense from War Maiden, enough buffs with our shield set and Archmage helmet, and a very strong seer for me to nuke the waves with only the decreased defense and those buffs. Right back into the same rotation right there, so about 15 seconds we're on the boss. You also saw a refresh accessory proc on that seer right there, so really lucky for this run. Okay, then what we want here is to die. We literally want everybody to die, so I suppose I could tweak this even more, that literally all the champions die on the first hit from the boss. I removed a few pieces, as you guys will see in a second, right? But overall, this is the gist of it. So like, we lost an animation there with Renegade, we lost an animation with our Archmage, but it's all about Occult Brawler at this point. We just want that guy to be solo with the boss with the poisons, and then that's it. And towards the end, you also see kind of the damage already being calculated by the system, I guess, and then the animations keep going, but the timer stops like right there, 1 minute, yet we're still fighting. That's because, like I said, the calculation was already done, therefore it gives me this record time. All right, so I know that this is pushing it maybe a little bit, but overall this is how I was able to get the 1 minute record on my account without any legendary champions. So now let's go check out the gear and the masteries of these champions, or should I say the absence of gear on some of these champions. Starting with our Lydia, which is typically in this team, and I quickly want to show her because this is probably what most players are going to be using. Because you have 2 buffs, and AoE decreased defense and weaken, it makes it so that your seer doesn't need as much firepower to get this done. But I've since moved away from Lydia ever since I figured out that I can use a War Maiden to make this even faster. So it's kind of funny how literally War Maiden is replacing my Lydia in this team for me to get that record. All right, so here are the overall stats, full speed ahead. This is also really important for the Fire Knight 25. So I don't want to have to change Lydia all that much for everything else to work. Okay, so now let's go over the other champions, starting with, of course, the super amazing seer, which I took off at least her ring. Okay, so that makes it so she's a little bit weaker and she can die. It doesn't change her accuracy, her speed, crit rate, crit damage, so all those stats are kind of important for this to work. I am using, however, War Master right now, which allows me to get a little bit more damage on the Fire Knight 25, and that's really important. It might not be as important here for the Dragon 25, but I would suggest eventually, if you really want to reach these speed runs for all the dungeons, to work with War Master on your Seer, okay? Now, up next, we're going to do our Archmage, which is right over here. And he has still the same stun set. We removed his ring as well. I suppose I could try to remove a few more things here, but I didn't want to affect his stats too much, although I have way overkill in terms of resistance and accuracy for this to work, actually. So I suppose I could have removed maybe even the amulet. Maybe right here, right, with more HP and resistance, and it would still work, and maybe we would have died a little bit faster anyway. And technically we're weak affinity, so if we would get a strong hit from the boss, then Archmage should go down, right? But overall, here are the stats. The speed, again, is kind of important for everything else that I use this champion for. All the skills are done on this guy, and then for the masteries, we do have Fearsome Presence. I never changed it. I kind of like Archmage this way, so I don't think I'm about to do any major modifications. There is one champion, however, that I did tweak for this was Occult Brawler. So I made him a little bit stronger, kind of maxed out his gear, except the weapon apparently. I guess I forgot to do that. I still think he's a little bit too slow in terms of speed for this to be a little bit more stable. What I mean by stable is that because we're not above 200 speed, we don't exactly always lap the boss. Therefore, this might fail. It's gonna fail if War Maiden doesn't land the Deeker's defense, and then we're all out of sync, right? So you're still at the mercy of that. But overall, when you're solo with the boss, I would suggest that you aim for about 200 speed, right? 100% crit rate, more crit damage would be great. Accuracy is good enough for this. So he's kind of like in a clan boss build overall, but I don't really use him in there anymore. But I do use him in the crypt though, okay? All the skills are done on this guy. And for the masteries, we do have War Master for the tier 6 into Sniper and Master Hexer, which is really good on that champion. Up next, we're going to do our Renegade, which is our shield champion and the champion that we use to reset the skills. Okay, so here are the total stats. She is now a little bit more tailored to deal damage at the same time. That is also for the Fire Knight 25, probably helping here a little bit because we do get 1 or 2 hits off on the boss, and she's also rocking a War Master, okay, on her tier 6. So that's how you squeeze out a little bit more damage from these champions, is by trying to work with that. We also have Sniper, Master Hexer, Evil Eye. Again, this is useless against the dragon, but it's good against the Fire Knight 25. And finally, our trusty War Maiden, whom I also removed the ring for this to work. Okay, so she's relatively fast, 227, 100% crit rate, 240 accuracy, which is good enough. But again, there's that 3% chance you're not gonna land the AoE Deeker's defense, and then this is most likely going to wipe. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to recover from this. However, with Lydia, there's a much better chance that you will recover and you can still somewhat beat the boss. So this is a little bit riskier in terms of builds, but it was the only way to get a no legendary record. Okay, so we do have Affinity Breaker gear. It really doesn't matter. You don't need this. I was just testing her for other dungeons and I decided just not to change it. I do use her for the crypt, and she's great for that as well, so I suppose the Affinity Breaker set is good for there. Okay, for the masteries, we do have War Master for the tier 6 into my old nuking build from 2 years ago for the arena when I was just starting out, and then same thing here with Sniper and Master Hexer. So overall, those are the champions that I used to get this record, with a few specifications on how I got it. Do let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.